The Yeti by Julian. I woke up at 6:30 a.m. I heard songbirds singing and I saw the Himalayas surrounding my village. I got out of bed and snuck out of my house and into the goat pen on my dad's farm. Outside, there were huge piles of snow and boulders. Something must have happened overnight. I went inside the goat pen to milk the goats. My parents weren't up yet. Inside the goat pen, I couldn't believe my eyes. There was something big and furry snuggling up to the goats. It was a Yeti. I went over to him feeling nervous. I went to touch him with my hands. I was shaking. The goats were still asleep. I gently touched him on what I thought was his back. He jumped with a startle and started running around the pen. I shushed him, thinking that if my parents knew about him, they would freak out. I started talking to him. I said I'm not a bad guy. I don't hurt Yetis. I asked him where he was from, and right away he drew a picture of a mountain in the dirt. I recognized the picture. It was Manaslu, the mountain that was right next to my village. I started to pack my stuff. I quietly walked upstairs and got my things. I didn't want to tell my mom and dad because I didn't want them knowing that there was a Yeti in our village. We started to hike up the mountain. My village is 3,127 meters above sea level, and Manaslu is 8,163 meters above sea level. So it would be a 5,036 meter high altitude change. Nothing really happened in the first day. We hiked for 8 hours and the Yeti snuggled to me at night. He put his leg over my body and he purred. I could tell that he missed his family. Before we went to sleep, I came up with a name for the Yeti. His name was Icy. On day 2, Icy and I left where we slept and started trekking. I was getting cold because I didn't have a Yeti snuggling me and because it was 1,000 meters higher than my village, so I put on my second coat. My second coat is really thick, warm, and cozy. I could tell that Icy was not cold because he had a giant fur coat and it looks like he was sweating. There was a big crevice in the mountain about 5.5 hours into the hike. Icy put me on his back and jumped over the crevice. 3 hours after that, Icy stopped. He drew a picture in the snow. It was a skull. He pointed up, and I thought that he meant without the gear, I would die if I went even higher. I decided to keep going because my friend needed to get back home. We set up camp and went to sleep. He snuggled up to me in the same pose as last night. I felt secure with my friend. On day 3, we got up and started hiking. Icy was, for some reason, acting very tired. Then I saw it. He made us breakfast. It was eggs and sausage. I didn't know where he got the sausage, though. I asked Icy where he got the eggs. He pointed to the top of a tree. After we ate, we started hiking. We had a lot of energy after that breakfast. Icy climbed a tree to see where we had to go. 10 minutes after that, we ran into a pack of wolves. We tried to walk around them, but eventually they found us. Icy climbed up a tree with me on him. He was jumping across the tops of trees. We lost the wolves. He climbed back down. We got a decent amount of kilometers away from the wolves. I ate some jerky and nuts, and Icy ate just jerky. We started to hike again. There were hawks circling above us. We were starting to get into the snow. There were white bunnies hiding from the foxes. After 2 hours, we were getting really tired. We set up camp. We heard something. It sounded like it was coming from above us. We looked up. The hawks were still circling us. Then one shot down. It was trying to attack us. It clawed at me. I ran and hid in our tent. Icy was scaring the hawks off by jumping 3 meters high and clawing back at them. Icy came in our tent. Even though he barely fit, we decided to stay in our tent for the night. I think snuggling up to me is Icy's favorite time of the day. The next day, we got up and ate some jerky for breakfast. We started to hike. I was really tired, so I climbed on Icy's back, and he gave me a piggyback ride. He ran and climbed on top of the trees and jumped from treetop to treetop to go faster than on ground. 2 hours in, the trees eventually stopped growing because of how high we were. I decided to get off. I felt bad that he was doing all the work. Icy drew something in the snow. It said, "Last day." I thought he was lying, but then I looked up. We were almost at the top. I guessed that the top was only 2 hours away. I started running in excitement. I was so excited to meet his parents. I wanted to show them that not all humans were bad. Icy got excited too. He started running with me. After 1 hour, we got to a cave. No one was there though. Icy started to sniff the ground. Yetis have an excellent sense of smell, just like dogs. All grade 3 kids learned that in school. He brought me over to his parents about 20 minutes away from the cave. I let go of Icy's hand, and he started running over to his parents. They hugged and then saw me. They looked surprised to see me. Then they growled at me, as if I was a poacher following him. I think Icy was explaining what happened because they stopped growling at me and came over to me. They drew in the snow. It said Hank too. I don't think English was their first language. They all left me outside and they went in their cave. After 5 minutes, they came back outside. The dad picked me up and ran down the mountain with me on him. He took me down to my village in 50 minutes. All the villagers grabbed a weapon. Then they saw me. They dropped their weapons and ran towards me. My mom and dad picked me up. They saw the Yeti, regretting what they thought about Yetis. The Yeti was scared. He was shaking with fear. My mom and dad asked if I was okay and where I went. I told them what happened. My mom reached out to the Yeti. She stroked him gently on his fur. After that, my dad came over to the Yeti. Then the local tea shop owner came with momos and gave them to the Yeti. All the villagers regretted what they thought about Yetis. They all came to the Yeti and said sorry. Every New Year after that, the Yetis come over to my village to celebrate. The villagers and the Yetis stopped hating each other and became friends.